Talking Head here again, Andrew, and we meet again. And there's lots of things bustling around in my mind today, but I feel that I'm going to continue what I was talking about yesterday, because I'm starting to talk about something which sounds wacky, probably. It probably sounds cultish. I'm talking about visualizing the dream temple. I can't help but make it sound majestic, mysterious, because it's my creation. It's my inclination and predilection to create beautiful things. It's what I want to do. And to me, Dream Temple is a beautiful creation. And yet it probably sounds wacky. You know, what am I talking about? I'm talking about my healing journey, work in mental health and addictions, and suddenly, in the midst of all of this very concrete substance, I'm introducing what seems like some grandiose idea, the Dream Temple. What is it I'm talking about? This is what I want to talk to you about today, because I want to demystify it. I want to demystify it in order to, I hope, point to something even more profoundly mysterious and majestic, and can never be contained in my words or any words. First, I want to talk about how mystification works. You know, this is why I don't like religions. This is why I reject religious systems. I feel a little stronger in it now because I've been watching a lot of Krishnamurti in the last little while, and he was definitely a very strong asset for all religious systems. And even though he doesn't speak the way I speak, I just feel there's something beautiful and true in his inquiry. And that's what it is inquiry. Inquiry. Insight isn't finding answers. Insight is feeling a questioning intent. Questioning is not all about answering. It's about being open. It's about being in a state of not knowingness and finding joy and ecstasy there. And answers do come. The universe is an intelligence, and it yields to our silence. And answers do come. But the mistake is ever to think that any answer you receive is something final. It's just like a wonderful place to pause for a moment, or wonderful moments to share. It's when you get an answer. And then return to open and unknowingness, because that's just another beautiful stitch in infinity that you've come to. Go on. Don't dwell there. Or let it be part of yourself with the understanding that it's open-ended. There's doors and windows in every seeming structure, right? So religious systems and their mystification, you know? I guess the reason I come to this is because of the terrible disasters of my life. You know, I created them. I take total ownership of all the mistakes in life that I have made. And yet, when I begin going inward and healing myself, I realized that all my mistakes were listening to other people. I know, probably sounds grandiose, but the thing is, all of us individually are where it's all happening. And I allowed other people to dictate to me what my experience was. And that was my mistake. And it began before I was conscious, when I was just a little boy, just a little child, just a little being. The external world was always pressing some other agenda on me. And then I got beaten down and my spirit got trampled. And I began to listen to what they say. And that began in my early childhood. And by the time real trauma came, which was a very close death experience when I was 14, exactly as my sexuality began happening in adolescence, it was just, the lid got stuck on that crypt, and I was just dead to the world for all intents and purposes. And as time went on, I was always susceptible to the judgments of others, to the assumptions of others. People never seemed like, people were always interested in me, but always, if I ever was truly myself, I always came to conflict and always, would just have to say, oh, the other person is right. And how that manifested as I got into my 20s and into that place in your late 20s, 30s, when you're not a kid anymore and you're grown up and life comes down on you. Again, it was just the words of others, the influence of others. I guess it just makes me some kind of weak patsy in the end, which is ironic because that's never how I felt about myself. And yet I could never break out of it, And what I realize, and it's in the words of Krishnamurti, who's really been moving me lately. It's in the words of Sadhguru. It's in the words of Alan Watts. It's in the words of any spiritual being. Is that it's all going on inside you. Don't even listen to me. And yet I must listen to myself. I must seek and feel my own knowledge, as do you. This is why I am doing this, not to tell you the way it is, but to share what helped me open up in the spirit of open inquiry, so that perhaps my vibration reaches through the internet and has a positive effect on someone else. If I could create the effect of loosening someone from decades of mistaken, wrong choices in their lives, that would do me fine. Because in the end of the day, I'm where I'm at now. And so I just look at my life and think, well, I'm the person I needed when I was younger. If only I could have met myself as I am when I was younger. But I could never meet myself because of dislocation within, again, all of the panoply of mistakes, based, trauma-induced emotional problems, ideas, thinking, byproduct, historical process, pain body is how it manifests, tension and pain. You get locked in, and before you know it, you're nothing but a zombie of your conditioning. Or if you're born rich, maybe you're using that purposefully to dominate others and you're a vampire. I don't know. I don't want to be that. I've never wanted to be that. And yet I listened, and I guess I ran the risk of being one of the zombies, just listening to the compulsive, negative chit-chat, the chatter of the unenlightened, And yet what does enlightened mean? Enlightened means just letting go of all that inside, right? So what's the mystification of religion? I said it the other day, for example, even in the beautiful Vedic system, which I do adore, and I believe it's got a lot of true knowledge there. It's the fact that in English and in Western culture, we use Sanskrit terms. It's a system which forces us to use Sanskrit terms, which is not our language, right? Oh, let's go down to the studio and practice some yoga, right? No. You're going down to the studio to practice some union, hopefully. But no, yoga, exotic, from the Vedas, becomes an idea, becomes a creature of the mind, becomes a creature of vanity. Too often, that's what it becomes. Same thing with their mantras, my wonderful and beautiful Russian friend, Babalam, Kivalam, something or other, what I mean? He's talking about the importance of the resonating frequencies of these particular words in Sanskrit that you must chant, right? But of course, in English, we always render these chants. They all sound like, I am infinity, I am the unmanifest. This is what these mantras are, right? And so when I meditate, if I say a mantra at all, I say something in English because it isn't the mystification of a Sanskrit word. It is the vibration that's inside yourself when you're saying something which opens up your own vibration. And if you're following a Sanskrit teacher, then you are you're not inside yourself. Unless you learn Sanskrit deeply and profoundly, and you can live in that language, then maybe it's real for you, right? But that is the dedication of yoga, I guess, in its Sanskrit form, is to go to India and learn Sanskrit and learn, any one or number of various Sanskrit influenced languages and then pursue those things there, right? I mean, there's many words in English that come from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is like the mother of all languages. All of it comes through the Middle East. It's beautiful to me. All I'm talking about is how things get mystified. You know, don't be fooled by yoga. Yoga isn't just yoga, mysterious from the East. Yoga is union. Yoga is the thing you do which makes you feel oneness. This is my yoga. One of my yogas right here is being with you, being this talking head here, because I feel one when I'm here, because of reasons I can't exactly explain. It just helps me be open. It helps me